Hello, this is Romeo Cat Computers, and today I will be upgrading the sub panel. Now, as you can see, the sub panel was put in because the main one's all filled up. In fact, they filled it up so much they had to put these stupid tandem breakers in, which I'll be talking a bit about later. But anyway, and then of course now this one's filled up. It's got exactly one space left, which will not do. So both of these are Square D. They're part of their QO series, so of course they're all QO breakers. And so the new panel I got is going to be sticking with all of that. Square D is often known as being a very, very good breaker company and breaker panel company. I've heard electricians recommend it. And also, it's just what I'm used to, because not only these two panels, but the house next door, actually, I do a bit of electrical work over there. They got Square D QO2, so anyway, and then of course all the breakers I have in my collection and spare will of course work, and they can swap between. Now anyway, you'll notice here that I've been slowly upgrading the house with these dual function breakers, which annoyingly are a little bit longer, but the main problem is that they require their own neutral connection, each and every one of them, and so you get this kind of mess right here, filling up the panel. And if I were to do that in here, I would get the same problem, and I'd start to fill up these bus bars. So if we take a look at the new panel, I got a plug-on neutral panel. And so here's a plug-on neutral compatible dual function breaker. I'll probably make a video on dual function breakers in the future, but anyway, for now, just understand that it's GFCI and AFCI all in one, well, combined AFCI. But anyway, so like I said, they need their own neutral connection, but this doesn't have a little wire coming out of it, and it's because this little grip down here just hooks onto the neutral bar, and so that gets rid of all that mess of wires. Now anyway, taking a look at the panel, you see it comes with a 100 amp breaker. We look over here, it doesn't have a main breaker, it's just on 60 amp service from the main one. So I'll be taking out that breaker and just implementing a system like that. Now this one is a 12 space panel, and annoyingly it's the size of a 16 space, because you see it goes up to 16 right here, but of course there's no actual bus for the last 4, so it's the size of a 16, but it's only 12. Oh, there's my cat. But this one is a 24 space, and it is of course the size of 24. And don't worry, I took all the measurements. It should fit on the wall next to the other one, and it's just a matter of putting it in. So anyway, without further ado, I guess I'll move on to installing it. First I gotta clean up this mess. Then, very important, turn that off. Then, of course, just start pulling them all out, unscrewing the wires. I'll put like tape and stuff on them so I can keep an eye on which one's which. Put the new one up, wire that all in, put some... Oh, by the way, we bought some more dual function breakers here, 2 of them. They're a bit expensive, but they're pretty good for protecting your house and, of course, people getting shocked. Again, I'll probably make a video about that in the future. And then these stupid tandem breakers, the problem with them is that, you know, they're inside a single breaker. They need to fit the magnetic coil, because these are thermomagnetic breakers. They need to fit the strip of thermal metal, whatever they call that. And they need to fit all the mechanical parts in and things like that. And that's okay, because it's designed to fit in this. Now take a look at these tandem breakers. They're trying to fit this into half the size and then put another one next to it. And so the electrician I was talking to about this, he even said that when he gets a call because the breaker failed, he says a lot of the time it's these tandem breakers. So anyway, what I'll be doing is I'll be expanding these out and turning them into full-size breakers. And conveniently, since this was a whole value pack, it actually came with a few free breakers in the box, so I'll probably be using some of those to do that. But anyway, I guess I'll just start working. Okay, well that took a very long time, but I finally got it. All, well, it's not 11 circuits because some of them are doubled up, but yeah, so here's the big mess. And I printed out this little sheet, all the circuits, so I've kind of been cutting it out and using them as labels here. And this one's unlabeled because it's just the very last one. This one I know is the boiler because it's the only one with the flex shielding, and you know, some of the other ones are distinct, but for all the same ones I put little labels and stuff. So yeah, now I have to basically take this panel down. And don't worry, these are not live. I have it turned off right here. So anyway, I'm gonna take this panel down. So here I am again, and now the panel's been taken off. And here's 2 screws, which they're actually in the right position for the new one. The old screw holes, I'm going to have to put them lower down because the new panel is longer. Oh, and here's the mess of breakers and dust and screws and things like that. And if we come over here, here's the old panel in all its glory. I will just be reusing the old panel for my own projects. I wouldn't want to put it in a new installation, like when I go to put a panel in the barn, because when I do that I'm going to just want a new panel just like the one I got, plug on neutral and everything. So I'll just use this for whatever I want to. Now anyway, take a look over here. We got to come back to the whole 100 amp breaker problem. So you can see it's got the 2 screw terminals. So what I was thinking was I'll just take this out. But the thing is, when you take it out, it's just raw nuts and bolts, and you can't hook anything onto those. But now if we take a look over here, this one's the same, but instead of a breaker, on the raw nuts and bolts you have the screw terminals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the breaker out of the new one, and then take these screw terminals out of this one and put them in the new one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So now you can see I took those little terminals out and I brought them over and put them right here. And here's the old breaker, or I guess the new one. I mean, this is completely unused, so I basically get a free 100 amp breaker, which is pretty cool. So I guess if I have diabolical testing that needs 100 amps, or my grandma's panel next door, which has this breaker, goes bad, then it'll be good that I have this spare. Now anyway, I'm going to go and put this back up. I'll probably have to punch holes in the top as I go along, and well, we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so here I've done the first part of putting it up and then wiring the service coming in. So before we do anything else, I'm just going to make sure it's all 240 volts and 120. Okay, should have power. So now I have the multimeter here. Well, I'm going to want that set there, and then I'm just going to, see, I need to do this without shocking myself. Probe. And there we go, 240, and then if we go across 1 live and neutral. Okay, so here's a progress update. So far I've got the two 240 circuits in that need to be in. This one is the dryer, and this one is the water heater slash water softener. I'm not sure which one. It looks like a water heater, but it's labeled a softener. Maybe it does both. But anyway, so yeah, you can see I have the two coming in at the top. I'm trying to keep it nice with 90-degree angles and have it just go straight in. Up here I had to extend these from the dryer circuit because it was just too short, but that's how the old panel had it set up too. So anyway, I'll just be putting in some of the other circuits, the 120 circuits, and I'll definitely be using the dual function breakers so that we can protect the circuits. So anyway, I'll move on to doing that. So here I am again. The breakers are all put in. Whole thing is wired up. And now the clip that you just saw for you was a few seconds ago, but for me that was like an hour and a half ago. Now this work isn't very hard, at least to me. It's just very long and tedious. So anyway, I'll go over how I have it set up. So I'm not going to go over which one's which, but I'll go over some notable ones. I put the two 240 circuits up here. This is the dryer, and this is the water heater right here. And well, you can see here's the orange cable, and here's the orange cable. Anyway, now there's no reason why I put the dual function breakers on the circuits I did, because I only had 3, so I just had to pick some circuits, and there wasn't really any that needed it more than the others. And now I will mention here, this barn circuit for the barn slash garage used to be over here. And now, if you remember, I told you about the stupid tandem breakers earlier. Well, I took the tandem breaker and it expanded it out into two breakers, and these are 100% new, like just bought at Lowe's yesterday breakers. So that's good. And then what used to be here, which was the barn circuit, is now here. And unfortunately I didn't have a new breaker for that. That's a 15 amp. But yeah, so now maybe in some ways it may be a bit messy, but here I did it the best I could. I'll give you a little tour of the wiring. And of course for these they need both the neutral and the hot, so that's why there's 2 of them coming out of each. And here, this is where I put all the grounds. It doesn't matter which side I put them on, I just try to put all the neutrals here and all the grounds there just to keep it nice and neat. And of course here's all that. And there's where the main service cable comes in. And by the way, for the barn, since the breaker used to be here, this one I believe right here is the barn. So it comes in, I just have it hooked onto these and I just have it running over to here. Which I don't know if that's very much of an elegant way of doing it, but electrically it's perfectly safe, and I'm sure there's not much code against it. And now speaking of code, if you look up here, you'll see I punched out a hole for each and every circuit. And now I don't know if it was shown earlier on the old panel, but what they did was they stick 2 through 1, which again electrically, I mean, it's not really a big hazard. It could be a hazard in some rare cases, but it's not up to code. So I figured, since I have all kinds of punch out holes available and I have a bunch of these clamps, then why not just separate them all out nicely? So that's what I did. And of course, I mean, it looks like a mess up there, but there's not much I can do about that. It's just inherently going to be like that. So here it is with the front plate on, and I put some of the stickers on too. And annoyingly, I discovered that the front panel hangs over a little bit in front of here, and it's covering up the screw holes. So I can't really put that on. I could probably still do it with the remaining ones, but it's going to be kind of shoddy. But in the future, I'll probably cut this metal down here a few centimeters, because it doesn't really need this many centimeters going that way. But anyway, it's not causing too many problems, so here I'll go ahead and open it up. And I went ahead and labeled everything. And instead of the cryptic system they used to label this one, where they kind of just write over it over the years, and it's kind of annoying to read that, but I made sure everything is nice and explained. And I even put in some instructions as to where they are. Since the labeling on here, there's a lot more room. So anyway, taking a look over here, it's nice as ever. And of course, most of these breakers are brand new. I mean, this one isn't, but besides the few old dusty ones here, I mean, we got some nice new breakers. And the dual function breakers, that's good. We have new protection that we didn't have before. And again, I'll probably make a dual function breaker video in the future. They're kind of interesting. Now, for my case, I talked to an electrician, and he said that for what I'm doing here, just replacing this sub panel with a different one, that I don't really need a permit. If you were to replace the main panel, you definitely need a permit. Maybe, depending on what you're doing, you need to upgrade your service. But whether you take the word from me or not, if you're going to do something major like this to your electrical system, you should definitely consult a local electrician or your local city building. Especially since, even if it's okay in electric code, you know, sometimes cities have additional code. And it's just good to make sure you know whether you need a permit or not, so you don't get in trouble with insurance. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. It's been kind of a long video this time, but for those that stuck around, thanks for watching. Hope everyone found this entertaining and possibly useful. Hope to see you in the next one.